Welcome to the National Dissemination Center for Career and Technical Education's Professional Development Speaker Series. I'm Wes Budke, Associate Professor, Department of Human and Community Resource Development at The Ohio State University and co-director of the Exemplary Programs project, along with Debra Bragg, of the other co-director at the University of Illinois. I will serve as the moderator for the panel this afternoon. Career and technical education is increasingly faced with higher expectations for student achievement. Business and industry, post-secondary partners, parents, and policymakers expect students to complete career and technical education programs with skills, knowledge, and abilities to succeed in the workplace and in continuing education. Although those of us in the profession know that many career and technical programs are meeting these challenges, we haven't always had an effective strategy for sharing what works in career and technical education. This project, jointly conducted by the staff at The Ohio State University and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, is funded by the Office of Vocational and Adult Education at the U.S. Department of Education. It provides the resources to identify and share information about those career and technical programs that are truly exemplary. Through our work with the National Advisory Committee, we have identified the critical components of high-quality career technical education programs, solicited nominations from state leaders for exemplary designation, and evaluated programs on their evidence of effectiveness, of program quality, educational significance, and potential for replicability. During the first year of this 5-year project, we were very pleased to identify 4 programs at the high school level that met the criteria for exemplary programs. Today, we have with us instructors from these exemplary programs. After each member of the panel has an opportunity to present a brief overview of their program, they will address program aspects that make their program exemplary, such as industry credentialing, use of data for continuous program improvement, integration of academic and technical skills, and partnerships with business and industry. At this time, I'd like to introduce the members of the panel. Beginning at the other end of the table, we have Costein, physics instructor, and Nick Costein, electronics instructor from the Tech Prep Electronics Technology Program, Pioneer Career and Technology Center at Shelby, Ohio. Next, we have Karen Long, chef, culinary arts, and hospitality services, Great Oak Institute of Technology and Career Development, Cincinnati, Ohio. Kevin Langdon, instructor, welding technology fabrication, Vantage Career Center, Van Wert, Ohio. And Melissa Rock, instructor, digital design, Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, Brecksville, Ohio. Let's begin the program by calling on Nick and Ike to provide a brief overview of their program. Nick?
I'm Nick Costein. I've completed 18 years of education teaching electronic technology at Pioneer and Career Technology Center. I will have my brother Ike tell you a little idea of our program and what we've done to make it successful.
Hi, I'm Ike Costein, and I teach the physics for the electronics curriculum. To give you a little bit of a background, Pioneer Career and Technology Center is in Shelby, Ohio, in the heart of Ohio, north central Ohio. And we basically have 14 school districts that feed into our school. The learner population is 11th and 12th graders, and we have this coming fall 950 students coming into our campus. One of the goals of our Tech Prep Electronics program is to provide advanced technical and rigorous academic and strong employability credentials to our students that complete our program. As Nick indicated, he is a senior instructor at Pioneer Career and Technology Center. We also have a junior instructor. This coming fall, we will have about 40 students coming into total, in our program, juniors and seniors. One key element that is very important is that we have a very strong supporting team of academic instructors. Those academic instructors include mathematics, physics, and English, and it is taught in a contextual and applied manner. It really focuses on and emphasizes the importance of critical thinking skills that allow students to be adaptable in a changing technology that we live in. Society today and the technology that's basically occurring is turning over so quickly that this is one of the needs that we identified. Many people have asked us, what makes Pioneer's Tech Prep Electronics program exemplary? I'm going to cite today some of the examples that we submitted as part of our application. And for those of you that are very anxious or very curious and wanting to apply for this, these are key elements that need to be in the application process. First of all, we have a high degree of level and performance of our learners. We are data-driven. If you have data, you can prove that you've made gains, and I think that's very important. A lot of programs have wonderful ideas, but you need to be able to measure those measurable gains for those. We look at ACT, we look at Ocaps, we look at work key scores of the students. Some of the tests are used diagnostically. This is where our students are, this is what we need to do. And when you look at our other aspects of our program, since 1992, we have had 20 state winners in the Skills USA competitions. Skills USA, if you don't know what that is a leadership development organization for students in electronics and other technical and career areas. Of those, we've had 13 national winners, 6 of which have placed first in the nation. So I think one thing is evidence that the students are excelling at a very, very high level. The instructional staff also has contributed quite extensively to our local, state, and national level in providing expertise and helping other teachers reach a level of high competency. Nick and I are both members of the Skills USA Technical Committee for Computer Applications. In 1995, Nick was selected as the technical expert for the United States in electronic technology. That was held in Lyon, France. It was a very, very rewarding activity to be able to do that. The last element, or two elements I really would like to address, is that we are very actively and dynamically and responsive to our business and industry partners. They drive what we do. They make suggestions, they make recommendations to us. That's very, very important. We need to be current on the state of the technology. The last point that I really would say that is another piece of the puzzle that defines our exemplary status is students have the ability, are provided, besides the core technology that relates to electronics, able to get CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate Credentialing. Secondly, they also can do A+ certification. And the primary focus being electronics, they can also get credentials in the CEA, the Consumer Electronics Association. Learners at Pioneer Career and Technology Center can claim that educational excellence is the rule, not the exception for our learners.
I am Karen Long, and along with Chef Scott Lang and Chef Lucille Melatello, we teach the Culinary Arts and Hospitality Services program for the Great Oaks Institute of Technology and Career Development in Cincinnati. Great Oaks provides career and technical education for 3,200 high school students from 36 affiliated school districts, and approximately 70,000 adult education students are served yearly. The district has 4 career campuses, and the Culinary Arts program is housed on the Scarlet Oaks campus. Scarlet Oaks offers full-day training, which includes career and academic classes for the students enrolled at the school. Currently, the Culinary Arts program is training 35 seniors and 58 juniors in culinary arts, pastry arts, baking, and hospitality services. The lab includes a commercial bake shop and a commercial kitchen, and the students gain experience by operating a 120-seat restaurant and a retail bakery area. The hospitality services skills are taught to the culinary arts students by our hotel operations instructor, Deb Moy, who does workshops with our students. The academic classes that the culinary arts students are required to take are math, science, social studies, and English. Along with the academic instructors and the hotel operations instructor, the chef instructors sit down weekly for cluster meetings, and we discuss student progress, integrated projects, and we review upcoming events that are going to be happening within the department. This program was the first in Ohio to receive Access ACF certification through the American Culinary Federation for our students. At the end of this 2-year program, the students who meet the criteria will graduate with a diploma from their home school. They will earn their sanitation certification through the National Restaurant Association. They will achieve certification through Access ACF, and they will earn a career passport from the Career Center. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Langdon, and my teaching partner and mentor of the last 23 years is Dennis Kester. I teach the same group of junior students for 4 periods of shop and 2 periods of welding-related classroom each day for the entire school year. Mr. Kester does the same with the senior students, but on a flipped schedule. To give credence to our welding program, Advantage Career Center adopted programs from American Welding Society. First, I became an American Welding Society certified welding inspector, a certified welding educator, and an AWS National Certified Welder in 1992. This allows me to certify Mr. Kester's senior students. Then our program became an American Welding Society accredited welder testing facility in 1993. Now our graduates have nationally recognized credentials. For networking purposes, Advantage became the headquarters of the American Welding Society's Johnny Appleseed section in 1994, serving 8 Ohio counties and 11 Indiana counties. Mr. Kester and I, over the past 23 years, have developed and honed our welding curriculum based on the needs of industry. Today, we use our curriculum in conjunction with the AWS Sense program, levels 1 and 2. Since becoming American Welding Society accredited test facility, we have gained the recognition for excellence in welding education by our local companies. Now, our AWS certified welding students are sought after, and Mr. Dennis Kester and myself are being recognized as reliable welding consultants for our largest companies and one campus of Indiana's largest technical college. Our part-time adult welding program has benefited from the demands for the certified welders also. We have had great success in placing the adults who have earned the AWS certification into great paying jobs. Thank you.
My name is Melissa Rock. I will begin my 5th year as a digital design instructor at Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, located in Brecksville, Ohio, which is 10 miles south of Cleveland. Cuyahoga Valley Career Center has over 800 students enrolled in the school, with 8 associate school districts. I instruct 11th and 12th graders for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 2 years, which totaled 1,081 hours. We have had full enrollment in this program for over 4 years with a waiting list and 100% retention. We have a very diverse population, with 15% of the population being special population. The digital design curriculum, which is mixing traditional art with technology, consists of learning elements of design, graphic design, electronic presentation, interactive media, nonlinear video production, image manipulation, and 3D animation. Ideally, this 8-quarter class is spent 6 quarters in the classroom with 2 quarters placed with an employer. The digital design is part of the Arts and Communication cluster, in which I team teach with the graphic imaging technology instructor. We also participate in tech prep, which helps students continue on to a post-secondary institute to at least obtain an associate's degree. We are also participating in the information technology component as the interactive media. Over 76% of the completers are employed in the field or are continuing their education in this field. For most part, it is both. Digital design students have won several awards in graphic design competitions, regional and state career technical competitions, as well as fine art competitions.
Thank you very much, Hal. The discussion this afternoon will be guided by a series of questions that will focus on program aspects, services, and support that leads to program excellence. So let us begin. The first question is, how do you use data to drive continuous program improvement? And I'd like to call on Nick or Ike for their response.
One thing that's very important is using data to substantiate the fact that you have made gains in the educational process. What are some of the kinds of data that we use in this process? The first piece is the Ocaps, or the Ohio Competency Assessment Program. Each career and technology program in the state of Ohio is aligned to a curriculum that is state approved. A measurement is made in the senior year. In this test, Pioneer seniors in electronics have 20 to 30% above the average. So that's one measure that we look at. We look at also the work keys that is provided by ACT. In the state of Ohio, juniors take the work keys test. It gives us a baseline to compare to. And in the senior year, just before they graduate, they take the test again, and we have a benchmark to see how much improvement they've made. In the electronics laboratory, written and observable tests are given for each unit that is completed. This is very important. Some of the aspects of that include a pre-test, post-test. It's very important for learners to be able to see what type of gains they've made. I think it really reinforces that they have mastered an area. Our program is very rigorous, and we need to have these benchmarks to look at that. We also like to use some predictive and some diagnostic tests. And maybe you haven't thought of these tests as being prescriptive or diagnostic, but students in our program take ACT tests, ASVAB, and TSAT and SAT. It can give you a clear indicator on how students are doing with their verbal and their math abilities. I think one thing that's very important, when you see students do well in TSAT, ASVAB, or the ACT test, I think it gives evidence, too, that you've recruited the type of students you really want in the program, and I think that's very important. Now, how does this all fit together? How do we use this? Because, again, this is a continuous improvement program, and I think this is very important. You need to know where you're at, where you want to go, and where you're at in the journey. So we realign annually the goals and the curriculum based on the strengths and the weaknesses we've seen in the Ocaps. Again, with the ACT and the TSAT, it tells us maybe our students need some remedial work in some areas, and this is where our aligned curriculum fits in really well with that. The Business and Industry Advisory Committee is very involved in looking and reviewing this data with us, so they really give us an indication of what we need to do. And the last thing I think is very, very important is if you don't have support from administration, it just isn't going to happen. And we have been very, very fortunate at our administration at Pioneer Career and Technology Center to have a visionary administration that realizes the importance of business and industry. The business and industry is the lifeblood to success for our students so they can integrate into the workforce. So as part of that process, one of the things we do is we have a fall meeting and a spring meeting. Those minutes kind of dictate where we're going, and we create a 5-year plan. That 5-year plan focuses on how can we be better. Even if you're at the top, there's always room for improvement.
Well, in our culinary cluster, we also use OCAP and WorkKey scores for our data. We also use the passage rates for the National Sanitation Test that our students take, the National Restaurant Association Test, and the Access ACF Test. We also look at job placement rate of our current and former students and post-secondary enrollment of our students. And from the information that we collect, we are then able to measure the success of our student learning gains, and we have been able to develop benchmarks so that we can continue to raise the bar for our students. For example, we found that on both the Ocaps test and the Access ACF test, the scores are telling us that our students need more help in nutrition, soups, and sauces. So currently, the science teacher is working with the chef instructors to come up with an integrated project that we can teach nutrition in a better manner. And the chef instructors are currently looking at how we currently teach the soups and sauces and how we can improve that so that those scores can improve. We also use the job placement and the post-secondary enrollment data as a marketing tool for our program.
Let's move on to a second question. How or to what extent has industry credentialing benefited the student, the school, and the employer? Okay, we'll start with Kevin.
We're an American State accredited test facility, so we're offering a nationally recognized certification in welding. Now, what that does for our students, it gives them a credential that they can travel anywhere in the United States and show a competency level at a higher level that is documented at Miami, Florida. Most of our teenagers are lacking experience, and so this credential helps open up doors for them. Our employers are also looking at it as a level of competency that they want to have on record, and so the credential is helping the employers and the students in setting some records so that there's some paperwork following it.
Along with what Kevin said, we believe industry standards certification tests are very important. It's a measurable tool for employers looking at the students to see what they're doing. Some of the certifications that we offer to the students are the CEA, the Certified Electronic Associate. It's set up by SEMA, which is the Consumer Electronic Manufacturers Association. Cisco certification for the CCNA, which is Certified Cisco Network Associate, and A+ certification, which is for computer repair and maintenance. How does it benefit the credentials for the students? One big thing that we've noticed in our program over the years, many of our students can go out after they leave our program, obtain a job while they go on to college to get their associate degree or their bachelor's degree in electronic engineering. What's this allow for the students? It allows them higher pay while they're going to school. They can be technicians. The program benefits that we have from this is full enrollment, where we have the number of students up to 24 students per year. We get a better quality students because you can actually look at the number of kids coming in and seeing what weaknesses and what strengths they have and how successful they will be. And it also validates the local business input, what the employees really need in the industry.
To continue the next question, to what extent have business and industry partnerships benefited the students in your program? How has it expanded the knowledge base? And we'll start with Melissa.
I feel it's been a win-win relationship with our students and business partnerships. Employers are gaining a student that is more open-minded, that has fresh ideas, non-conforming concepts, which is very important in a creative field. The students are gaining work experience. They're able to practice their skills, to be compensated, and also to build their resumes. Go ahead. I was going to continue to say that as far as expanding their knowledge base, the networking that happens during this is phenomenal. I believe that businesses are very willing to help in education, and sometimes they just need to be asked. Current equipment, current software, and current techniques can also be very beneficial to just make sure that what we are teaching is current with industry. From some of my experience with business partnerships, it's been very rewarding. We've had everything from field trips to guest speakers in the classroom to students obtaining internships and also sometimes equipment donation. To give you an idea of some of the companies that we've had business partnerships with, it's been with some professional sports organizations such as the Cleveland Browns organization, in which I've had 2 students internship there, as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers. I've had students employed there. A company all the way in South Dakota called Electronics that we've actually had some equipment donated in hopes to train students on the equipment so they would be able to obtain an employer from it. And then constantly looking at new companies, a new one coming up in Cleveland called EventWorks, in which they're actually building onto their facilities and will need some students in January for early placement.
Well, partnerships are also a strength of our program, but it's not just the business and industry partnerships, but partnerships that we have with post-secondary schools through articulation agreements and awarding our students scholarships. But even more important than those partnerships, we really make a working partnership with parents and guardians of our current and our former students, and that partnership has been a true key to the success of our program. But with business and industry, the students are encouraged to participate in the local American Culinary Federation meetings and the Retail Bakers Association meetings. These organizations provide for the students and for the staff professional development. This is where industry networking begins for our students at these monthly meetings, and it's not unheard of that the students are offered jobs right there on the spot during those monthly meetings. Both of these organizations offer scholarship opportunities to our students, and they involve our students in every activity that they have going on through the Restaurant Association, the Chefs Association, and the Bakers Association. But even more importantly than that, we use our business and industry partners to be evaluators of our students' projects. And it is truly incredible how a student will prepare a presentation for a business and industry representative who's going to be evaluating that project totally on industry standards, unlike what they think we are as teachers. And it just raises the bar incredibly for a finished project as those business and industry leaders judge those projects for our students.
Thank you. The next question that I'd like to pose to the panel is, how have articulation agreements benefited students? How have you changed your program to provide multiple career pathways for the students? Nick?
Okay. Before we were a tech prep program in 1994, we did have articulation agreements with some local colleges. The big strength with tech prep and raising the bar and the standards were, we were able to go to the colleges and say, okay, we need to correlate all this information and see what you're doing and try to keep things in touch so that students that are completers with B's or better have that opportunity to have college credit while in high school. That's been a big plus. The big plus also with that is the students that do enroll in career and technical education, like electronics, have that jump start or head start over the students that say, well, I'm going to wait until I graduate and go on and get my electronic degree or bachelor's degree in electronic engineering. It's amazing to see some of the students that have left the program, gone on to a four-year college and said, I'm teaching these kids, the freshmen in their sophomore year, how to use test equipment, which they don't use until the junior or the senior year of college. Some of the key important agreements or components of the agreements that we have with the tech prep standards are having yearly meetings with the college staff and our local staff during the spring and sometimes in the fall if necessary. Usually we try to do a wrap-up in the spring of the year because that's usually when we do our tech prep wrap-up for the year. We try to revise and update the curriculum to industry standards because the only thing you can really say about the constant thing in our field of technology is change. It's constantly changing, and if you don't change the way things are going on current technology, you'll be soon obsolete in that area. We also update course materials and curriculum to see if we need to get new test equipment or new different ideas on how that we want to present the material to the students. Now, how has the articulation agreements expanded student opportunities? Since we were tech prep, or before we were tech prep, the most credit a student could get was around 18 quarter hours. Now that we're a tech prep program and we've raised the bar, students exiting the electronics program at Pioneer receive 30 quarter hours of college credit before they even step foot on the campus. That's one course short of the whole first year of the associate degree in electronic engineering. The other thing we feel that's important is giving students multiple career pathways. It's very, very critical today for the fact that a lot of students really don't know. They want to do technology, but they don't really know, do I want to go into electronic engineering? Do I want to go into information technology, into networking, into computer repair? So we offer the students many of these options. I have students that graduated this year that showed interest in getting double associate degrees in both electronic engineering and the information technology fields. The other big plus that we found is it's a quicker exit for the students in the associate program because of the number of hours that they have received if they're a B student or better. Not every student gets articulation agreements. It's the ones that excel and go above and beyond the standards. And it also allows students on the traditional route for the bachelor's degree to also accelerate their degree in electronic engineering for electronic technology.
The Digital Design Program was formerly the Commercial Art Program. In making that transition, I did a lot of investigating as to what skills were necessary for a person that was going to be entry level as far as employment goes, or what skills are taught already in the post-secondary institutions. And with comparing all of that data, that's how I designed the Digital Design Program. This way, students are learning skills and technology and software for tomorrow. We're constantly updating it and changing it for how can we train them in 2 years that they're going to be cutting edge. And with that, it raised the bar for the post-secondary institutions. They were running around gaining new computers and software. That way the students could go on to post-secondary institutions. And for some of the students that would go on to either an art school or to college at a community college or a four-year school, this way they could worry more about, they already knew how to work the computer, they already knew how to operate the software. This took them to the next level, to how can they really get into the designing with it. I mean, all the basics already. For most students, hearing back from them, they're not able to get onto the computers for the first, second, or third, or fourth year, just the way, and it's kind of frustrating for them. But at the same time, they already have those skills down pat. This has also led to a student that's completed the digital design program. They're able to obtain 13 semester hours just by having their portfolio reviewed. My students are walking out of there not only with a portfolio, they have slides of their artwork, but an interactive CD that they've designed showing all of their artwork. So it's combining the graphic art, the tangible art, along with the multimedia. And that's not only very impressive to the post-secondary institutions, but the business employers as well.
Thank you. Move on to the next question then for the panel. How and why do you integrate academic and technical curriculum or skills? Karen?
For us in the Culinary Arts Program, this has really been the true key to our success, the integrating of academic and lab projects. This is that element that just truly makes our students excel. When we initially began to integrate curriculum, we failed because we tried to integrate everything, all the projects, and it just did not work. But we worked through those failures, and currently we have developed some great integrated projects for our students. Initially also, the projects were lab generated, and now the projects are academic generated also, which is really neat to see. I have two examples of some integrated projects that we're doing. For the juniors, as they study the great influx of immigrants to America, the social studies teacher has those students research their own heritage and related foods to their heritage. The students are then required to write up recipes, and from the recipes and the research that the students do, the chef instructors look at those recipes and decide which of the recipes will actually be used in the lab for a luncheon. Now, if you plan to attend the Ohio Department Ed field trip in October to Scarlett, you're going to see that project in action. The luncheon will be the immigration luncheon. During third quarter, the seniors are required to design a hospitality system. Anything that they are interested in. It could be a bake shop, retail or wholesale. It could be a dance club, a hotel, deli, restaurant, anything they would like to know more about. The project requires that they just use math because they have to discuss the financing, the food costs. They have to compare equipment bids. In government, they review and start to understand how the government's involved with small business. And in science, they review the health codes that cover their particular business. And then you add technical communications, where they tie it all together by writing up the final project. And they also get prepared for a one-on-one interview with possible financial backers of their organization. These possible financial backers, again, end up being our business and industry partners who come in and they interview our students. And again, those students take this very seriously, preparing portfolios for people they have never met before, and it's really exciting to see them come in that morning in their business attire for the interview. Now, these are only two examples of some of the projects that the culinary cluster has developed, but these are the projects that bring it together for our students. Every year as we work with our students on these projects, we are amazed by the quality of their work, how the bar has raised every year. And in my opinion, and in our cluster's opinion, this is truly the key to what has helped us receive this award. The integrating of the academic and the technical skills is that number one thing to our success.
I think Karen really has hit on some real key elements that we also find to be very valuable for students. I'm going to address the first question in why do we integrate academic and technical skills? It's real simple. Students go out to the workplace. They have to be able to write well. They have to be able to communicate well. Communications tends to be, if you talk to business and industry experts, to be one major area the students have problems with. So it's a natural fit. The second thing with electronics that makes it very unique, if you would look up in the dictionary what electronics is, it says it's a branch of physics. So physics and electronics integrate very, very well. We do some things non-traditionally in electronics, particularly in the physics aspect. When you're teaching trigonometry, when you're looking at that aspect, you don't tell the kids that you're teaching trigonometry. You give them some real-life projects and processes. They need to be able to see conceptually the relationships between the sides of the right triangle. And you can do that very hands-on. So our academic approach is driven by academic hands-on experiences for the students, so they can grasp those conceptual ideas. Industry has also told us these students need to know how to write well. If they're going to be out in the field and they're going to be a research or they're going to be a technician, if there's something wrong with a device, what did you do? What steps did you do in the troubleshooting process? So the why is very important. It's driven by industry. How do we do this? Well, as being the physics instructor, I drop into the electronics lab 2 or 3 times a week. I discuss with the electronics junior instructor, I'm noticing with this student that they're having problems with these concepts. So we try to address those problems early on. It might only take 10 or 15 minutes during lab time to get those academic concepts so they can make the connection in terms of what they're doing in labs. I think that's very important. Kids learn when they can see there's a connection to this and how they fit. We as adults do that as well. So the team approach is very important. I saw Mary Lou Retton, and she said, team means together, everyone achieves more. And I think what Sharon emphasized is when you have that teamwork, you can pull from the strengths of every person on that team. That leads to a higher level of excellence, and I think that's what we're trying to do for our kids, provide that. Now, what are some projects we do? I really believe that students, even in physics, need to express themselves well. So we do maybe 1 or 2 days of instruction in the office product. We teach them how to use Word to a level that could fit well, so that when they write reports for me for science, they're using those skills. Another project in the junior year that I have them do is to do a PowerPoint. You're going to present to someone what you learned this semester. If you can put it on paper and you can present it, that's proof, I think, that you have gained something. And some of the remarkable creative things that kids do sometimes amaze you as a teacher. When you open that door and say, this is how you do it, these are the tools, go to it. And in the senior year, they have to do a research project. They also have to do a speech related to that. The English instructor works with Mr. Nick Costein and they do a technical presentation, 3 to 5 minutes. They are taught how important it is to research data. What's valid data and what data is kind of suspect. This is really important. Kids need to be able to discriminate that this is a reliable source. This isn't so reliable. I can't cite it. They learn how to cite references. They learn to be able to communicate what they have learned in that process. Then they also are involved in the last 9 weeks, a design project where they construct a project that they basically have researched. And in that construction process, often when we do things, they don't work the first time. They have to use their troubleshooting skills. And again, this links back to what we talked about earlier. Those critical thinking skills are avenues to take kids beyond just rote learning. And I think we want to go beyond that because there's no way that in the 2 years we can teach them everything that they need to know. And I think all of us would kind of agree to that. If we can teach learners how to learn well and how to learn on their own and how to solve those problems, we've been successful as teachers. I read an article in Reader's Digest today, well, it was actually yesterday, and it said one of the things that really was important, that kids have to learn to be adaptable. And really that's what we live in. We live in an age of technology, which has changed, but I think we also live in an age of adaptability. Those people that are able to adapt the quickest, more efficiently, tend to be highly successful. We have a number of students, in fact, I got an email yesterday from a student who has started a business, a cyber cafe, and he said, I'm really excited about it. He used those communication skills that he learned at our school and is taking it to the next step. So I think those are very important aspects.
Okay. Thank you very much, Karen and Ike. The last question that I want to pose to the panel here is, why is it important for teachers to maintain technical competence?
That's extremely important. We've got to be able to bring something back to the classroom, and you need to bring new information back and be able to present it at a level that will benefit the students when they go out seeking jobs. Now, I'm a certified welding inspector, and in the summertime I inspect different buildings and so on, and in doing that I come across problems that as an inspector I have to deal with. Well, that requires me to get into the books and research, talk to engineers and so on. And that experience keeps me at the top of the level in the welding area. And each one of those experiences comes back to the classroom with prints, document specifications, and also the solutions to some of the problems that we had. And also I get to bring back characters of welders that I've met in the field and things that they are doing in the field and techniques that they're using and how math is being used in the field and how they're dealing with it. And how useful it is for them to be able to think about what they're doing and how they're doing it based off of the prints and be able to construct it. It's not just a matter of welding, it's a matter of constructing a hospital or a school building, and those are two projects that I'm working on. And so being involved with the field that you're in and in the real world and then bringing it back to the classrooms validates what we're covering in our lessons. So I think it's important to stay on top.
I always, and this will be Monday, when I have the junior class come in, I always congratulate them for making a career choice as a sophomore in high school. How many of us knew what we wanted to do in the 10th grade? And for the most part, they all belong there because they have the desire to learn art and technology in my case. But also I think that I realize that it's a lifestyle. It's not just a career choice to be a digital designer, but it's a lifestyle. It's lifelong learning to maintain those technical competencies. I currently have 4 other jobs on top of being a teacher. I'm active as a freelance graphic designer and a fine artist, as well as working for 2 different professional sports organizations, the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So there's many times that I'm teaching 7 hours a day and then going right into the evening working a few hours, to work a home basketball game or a football game on weekends. But that allows me to bring the skills right into the classroom. It makes it more interesting for the students. It keeps me current with networking, with software, technologies, and even just techniques with the new software version. Also, advisory committees, utilizing advisory committee members. Those are my friends, really, is what I refer them to. Because they're the ones that are the experts in all the different components. I don't think any one person could be an expert 3D animator and an expert web page designer and a graphic designer. A lot of times you overlap in several of those fields, but to be an expert and know everything and to keep current in all those aspects, it's just very difficult. Therefore, I'll refer to my advisory committee members, which are people that are employed in the business and industry. They help out with questions, and a lot of times just a phone call once a month or whatever, they'll say, hey, did you know this is out now, this new version of software, or so on and so forth. So I think it is extremely important to keep up with the technology, and I always say the day I quit doing that is the day I quit teaching.
Thank you, Pat. Before we take questions from the audience and questions from the field, I want to give each of the panel members an opportunity to fill in anything that they may have forgotten. Up here in the heat of the battle, sometimes it's kind of easy to forget something, or we go a little fast. So I want to give you an opportunity to mention anything that you might have forgotten. But also, since your program has been designated as an exemplary program and kind of featured nationally, my suspicion is that some way, somehow, your lives have changed a bit. I think it would be interesting to get some insight into, what may have happened or what advantages or benefits you have been able to achieve, I guess, and also any problems or concerns that may have arisen. So for the next 2-3 minutes, each of you have an opportunity to kind of sum up anything that you may want to say and kind of your reaction to what does it really mean to be named exemplary. And we'll start with Melissa this time.
I think I speak for all of us when I say this. I just really want to thank the National Dissemination Center, the Ohio Department of Education, our school boards of education, and our administrators for all the support and for having this experience. Without these people I mentioned, it would never be possible. It's been a wonderful experience being deemed exemplary. I think I've personally have gained so much growth professionally. There's always room to grow, as they say, and I think it's been a big confidence builder. When I was filling out that grueling application form, that is so worth it to do. I guess you just realize you don't know you're doing something right until you put it all out on paper, and so it was a big confidence builder that we were doing things right, that this is good, what we're doing and what the students are doing. It's been a wonderful experience to be able to, first of all, meet these people up here at the panel, but also to participate and present at many different organizations and conferences. Some of them just been mentioned, Ohio Directors Meeting, the International Vocational Education Technical Association, the High School That Works. It's so great, to be up there with the people that really, really care about making education better. There's things that you learn and you pick up while you're listening to other conferences going on, things about funding and other things just in general that might not filter down to a classroom teacher. So it's been a very rewarding experience professionally as far as that goes.
Well, first, let's say amen to everything Melissa just said. It has been truly worthwhile. I enjoy talking about welding, and this has allowed me to have a great opportunity to network with a lot of welding instructors. And I've talked to people from South Carolina to Georgia to Kansas and just all over the United States, and I get telephone calls and emails, and I get to talk about the one subject I enjoy, and that's welding. And I started in teaching 23 years ago, and I was 23 years old, so half my career has been in welding and teaching, and I truly do enjoy it a lot, and this has just been a heck of a reward to be able to do what we're doing it right, and someone come along and say, hey, by the way, here's a real nice crystal trophy to say you did it all right. So it's been worthwhile, and I enjoy the networking. I enjoy the visiting other shops and other instructors visiting us. So thank you for all the things that we've gotten from that.
And for the team of instructors that I am representing today, I also would like to thank you for the award that we have received. I am a former career and technical student from Pennsylvania, and I just feel I really have just come full circle with receiving this award, from being a career and technical student to where I happen to be today. None of this could be done without the incredible team of teachers that I get to work with every day, and they just make coming to work great, and we have fun with it, and the kids know that, and they feed off of that. On the first day of school, which was yesterday for us, we received for this award this huge banner that says Best of the Best, and I shared that banner with the seniors who were juniors last year when we received the award, and thanked them for helping us to receive this. And they just sat up a little bit straighter and walking around the school a little bit taller. So that's been great for our students. We have also found that already it's turned into a marketing tool. Speaking to parents of students who are just now enrolling, they already know, they know something good's going on with this culinary arts program. They did not quite know what the title of the award was, but we made sure they knew before they were done speaking with us. So it's turned into a great marketing tool. Again, the networking has been just incredible. To be able to share experiences with great teachers from outside of our school district has been a great benefit for me personally. And we hope to improve our cluster activities by going on a field trip to Lorain County because they're doing things very much similar to what we're doing, but they're doing it just a twist differently, and we want to go pick their brains. The other opportunity I'm going to have personally is that I once taught in Oklahoma City, and I'm going to have the opportunity to go back to the school that I taught in Oklahoma City and network again with people I worked with, let's see, almost 20 years ago. So that's a great opportunity for me. And again, thank you.
I can say the same as the rest of the group. We'd like to thank everybody for making this possible. One thing I can say, which really means a lot, you have to have the administrative support. If you don't have the administrative support, your program, no matter what you do, will be very difficult to become an exemplary program. And I know along the way, throughout the year, networking with all the instructors throughout the state of Ohio and even at the national level at Skills USA VICA, the key is keeping in contact with these people because they share the ideas. With us hosting the EIA workshops or the SEMA workshops at the end of the school year, you had that networking of people where you kept up with the current trends. One big plus I see out of the whole thing is the grant money that we received for winning this award will allow us to do some of the stuff that I've always wanted to do. Go to Comdex, see the current technologies, go to the Consumer Electronics Show, see what the current technologies and trends of the industry are, where you actually get to see the hands-on stuff that are current that we can bring back immediately and share with the students in the classroom. And I think that's very important because the biggest problem we deal with in education today is trying to keep up with the current trends of industry. Even at the college level, they tend to be 2 to 3 years behind what's currently out there. The way you do it, it takes a lot of work. It really does. You don't have a lot of free time if you want to be at the top and stay at the top. You continually look at improvement along the way because if you don't, you'll fall back to a regular, ordinary state like all the other programs like yours in the area. So I think it's very important that you keep up with the trends and changes in your technology. One other thing that we're going to do along with this is at the end of the school year next year, we're going to offer to the instructors and some students in the state of Ohio a follow-up workshop on all the things that we learned this year at the different shows that we went to, like the Comdex and the CEA show, because it's very, very valuable to do this. This year, the SEMA organization didn't have one of the workshops like we normally have because of money expended. The reason being is they're looking at now doing it every couple years instead of every year because it's just become too cost prohibitive. So those are some of the things that we feel very positive of the award, and it's been very, very rewarding for that aspect.
You know, I wrestled with this question, and I can say, first of all, that I feel all of the members, including Sheila and Wes, that we are now family. That collegiality. You know, I listened to Melissa's presentations and Wes's presentations, and I think, boy, those are some neat ideas. How can I adapt those ideas in my own instruction? Now, I don't know welding, but some of the ideas they use to get kids to do some teamwork, some of the issues that they address are the same issues we all address. So I really want to thank the National Dissemination Center and as Nick said, our administration has been supportive. There are also people behind the scenes that you don't see, the other people we work with. Karen mentioned that with her groups. We have wonderful people to work with. We have a wonderful staff. We get the support. We've never been denied being able to go to workshops. When we were at the High Schools at Work convention in Atlanta in July, probably one of the most disheartening things I heard, I was sitting in on the welding presentation, and there was an instructor that came up and said, I have this new equipment, but they won't wire my lab with electricity. You know, and I'm thinking, boy, am I lucky. Another thing that I think is important, as human beings, we need that validation that we're doing a great job. So often in education, we don't hear people say, you've done an excellent job. And you know, we need to hear that. And I think all of us probably have gained from that aspect. It is a motivational tool that makes me want to even work harder. And I think that is really important. I'm excited about that ODE Action Research Grant. I think as an educator, we not only want to teach children, but we want to also make instructors in the state of Ohio come up to a higher level. We want to be able to say, and if you see the video that the OED...
Thank you much. The comments and presentations by the panel this afternoon has no doubt generated some questions, both in the audience and from the field. So at this time, questions, I'm going to see if the panel is willing to address those.
This question comes to you from James Smith, who is in North Carolina, and he would like to know, did your journey of becoming exemplary begin with your administration or from a group of teachers? And he's opened it up to anybody who wants to respond.
Feel free to jump in.
I'll jump in because I love to talk. So, I think you have to have teachers who are visionary. You have to have teachers who really understand why they're in education. It's not for the 3 months, for June, July, and August. It's sharing part of you. It's sharing the aspects that you feel are going to make a student really supportive. I think you can have excellent teachers who have that vision. But there again, with that team element, if the administration isn't supportive, it's not going to happen. I think Nick mentioned that earlier. I guess there's not just one piece. I think they both have to work together. You have to have administrators that want a program to excel, and they're going to do the things to support that. And one of the first things may be to hire someone who has the technical skills and the rapport with students.
I would like to add to that question, to answer that question. The year before this award came out, my supervisor helped us apply for Access ACS certification. And my supervisor is Mrs. Barb Inman. And without her helping us earn the Access ACS certification, which was a pretty thick book of what they wanted to see, when this award came around, it was almost easy to take that Access ACS information we had already gathered the year before to put it toward this award. But without the supervisor pushing us, encouraging us, this is due today, get on it now, it never would have happened. She helped us get things typed and moved along. So again, like you said, us working together to make it happen was a true key. If it would have sat on my desk, it could still be there.
And just one last comment. More specifically, I believe we were all nominated by the Director of Vocational Education at the time, was Dr. Joanna Keister. So she was the one that nominated our programs to apply for the Exemplary Award.
Any other comments?
Well, I remember when we were trying to decide, we had a problem in our program. And the problem was we had low enrollment, but we had job opportunities, and we were trying to figure out what can we do to increase our enrollment to be able to satisfy those job opportunities. And so Denny Kester and myself started doing some investigation and put a plan together and submitted the plan to the superintendent and the director, and actually somewhat begged for their support because they're not from our area and wasn't sure what it meant. We're the only high school in the United States now that's an accredited test facility, so now they know what it means, especially since the exemplary thing. But it first started with the teachers having a plan and then submitting it.
Okay. Sheila, do you have a question?
The question comes from Margot Izzo. She's one of our Ocaps participants. And her question is to the entire panel. Do you have students with disabilities enrolled in any of your programs? If so, please describe the types of accommodations or adjustments that you've made for these students.
I'd like to to answer that question. I have over 15% of my students have had learning disabilities or are part of the special population. For the most part, they are learning disabilities. However, several have been evaluated with low motor skills and hand-eye coordinations, which is very important when working with a keyboard and a mouse. I almost treat the students as if they had a disability, they need to learn to work with that disability. If it's something like spelling problems, they need to then utilize a spell checker in a software program or assisted spell checker or something like that. We are fortunate that we have a vocational occupational special educator that is designated for our program, not just our program, but out of 24 different vocational programs in our school, there's 3 of them that are divided up. And we are very fortunate to have Mr. Errol Summer, who loves the technology, knows a lot about the computers and desktop publishing and graphic design, so he's very helpful to these students. 2 years ago, the year 2000, my most outstanding student was a special population who is now enrolled in the second year of college at Bowling Green State University. So it's not to put a flag up saying I have a disability. I look at it as, okay, you have one, let's work with it. What kind of supports are you going to need to be successful?
And that's exactly where we are with our program. This question came up when the team came to visit us at Scarlet Oaks, and they asked, what is the percentage of students? It's like, I don't really know because they just mix in. The special needs are so different. You would walk through the lab and you may recognize this person probably has a special need. This is a special needs student. And maybe you would not recognize that. It is so varied. But again, we look at what that special need is, and we have support also with a counselor for those students and who works side by side with us as we are changing or making a project, maybe taking a project that may have 10 elements to it to only 6 so that they can achieve the goals the same as everyone else. But the success rate is right there with everyone else.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to interject one thing. Physics is just one aspect I teach. So I have students who are enrolled in chemistry. So when we talk about special populations, we've had some special populations in our electronics program. We've not had a high number of students, but I think it's very important that you want every student is valuable, and accommodation is not optional, it's a requirement. And so we had one student that had problems with math. One way of solving the problem is the kid used a calculator every time that we had problems related to that, and that solved the problem. We had one student who had a 504 where he could not write for very long. So to accommodate him, instead of him taking notes, we provided the notes. I think it's not an optional thing. You have to do it. It's the law. And I think, too, you don't look at it as being, you have a challenge. You look at it as being a vehicle to help them become successful. And so at the beginning of the school year, I'll have 120 students coming in this year taking chemistry and physics with me in a contextual setting. The first thing I do before I even see my students is go down to the special needs department and say, what students do I really need to have intervention plans for? That takes time. And it's important because I want to be successful. I think all of our people can identify with that as well.
Additional questions?
I have another one from a National Institute scholar who would like to know, when you're looking at certification, how do you choose whether you're going to go with a specific industry certification versus a generic certification, and how did your programs arrive at that? He originally addressed it to Nick or Ike, but anybody could address it that would like to choose to give us some information regarding how you chose that.
Okay, one thing that we can say with certifications, there's a lot of certifications you can do, like Brain Bench and a few others that are online. It's very important, we feel, and right now we don't make it mandatory for the students at the end of the year to go take the test. That's going to change. We're probably going to schedule the last couple weeks of school and say, okay, we're going to take you to a Prometric or Sylvan Learning Center, and you will take your CCNA test. for the Cisco certification. The same thing with the CEA certification for electronics. On that certification, it's recognized by national standard organizations, and they basically set up everything that we do in the electronic industry. They're the ones that set up the standards, the EIE standards and all the companies build into these. So I think it's very important that you look at the certified or proctored certification test that is done by these centers.
I want to add to that, too, that I think it's a very, very important aspect of certification. With Cisco and our Cisco Academy, one of the things we looked at is this a group of people that do not understand the teaching process? We took an assessment test before, and basically is, what is your teaching style? What do you need to do in order for kids to be successful? Cisco really understands what those key components to learning are. And if a teacher isn't at that level, they provide a vehicle so they can be. So I think that was one reason why we went with the Cisco instead of going with Network Plus. There's really a lot of support there. Sometimes the national certifications, too, you can get some benefits, financial benefits. One of the things that drove the Cisco is the equipment we bought at a very reduced rate. We got around $30,000 worth of equipment for the first and second semester for about $10,000. And then you get the support that goes along with it. So I think those were some of the issues that we looked at. Is it nationally accredited? Do they really understand what teaching is all about? It's more than passing a test.
We chose Access ACF because the American Culinary Federation is the only place in the nation where you can gain certification as a chef. And the national sanitation test that our students take is, again, the national test for anywhere they want to go. Once they have it, they have to renew it every 5 years, but once they have it, it's recognized in every state in the union, and that's why those were chosen for us.
And that's basically why we chose American Welding Society, because it was a national certification, and it had a 1-800 number to verify it. That gave it some credence, where some of the qualifying labs that certify welders or so-called certified welders, no one's checking to make sure that they're doing the job the way they're supposed to be doing. So we went with the national cert, and it made more sense to us.
I feel left out. I think for my program, there really isn't a certification program for what we do. Probably out of the 4 components for information technology, we're the only one that there's no certification. So to make our program even better, we're pursuing one. As far as industry goes, we're looking into Adobe certification. My team teacher and I, the graphic imaging instructor, we will become Adobe certified experts, and then therefore we can become a training facility in which we will train our students that can take the test and become certified. We're doing this with our Action Research Grant, and we're lifting the bar for our industry. There is no certification needed for graphic design and multimedia, and we've interviewed and polled people in industry and said, what would this mean if you have a high school kid that's completed 2 years in digital design and they're Adobe certified? And they just said, wow, they're not even themselves, certified. So this again will be lifting the bar, and hopefully across the border for the industry itself. I feel that our area a lot of times gets neglected as far as compensation and things like that at times. I always tell my students that don't sign up for digital design because you want to make a lot of money. If you do, go into the microsystems computer and the programming and the networking for the money. But you will love what you do. You'll do it because you love doing it. You enjoy doing it, not necessarily for the money. Hopefully that comes secondary. But hopefully by obtaining a certification, this will just overall lift the bar in the industry.
Other questions?
I don't want to hog the microphone, but I have lots of questions here, so if no one else has any. One of the scholars wants to know, with all the responsibilities of administrators, how do you keep your administrators updated and supportive of your programs? What strategies do you use?
We'll jump in real quick. With our ODE Action Research Grant, we're taking Nick's supervisor to us to Condex. She needs to be able to see what the current technologies are. And when we say we need this piece of equipment because, you get them actively involved and engaged, and you can provide the rationale. I think so many people fear the fact that they're going to make a wrong decision. But if you have enough facts there to substantiate what you're doing, it really engages everybody. And again, it's that teamwork approach.
With our weekly cluster meetings that we have with the academic, the hotel operation, the culinary instructors, the administrators receive minutes from those meetings so they're up to speed as to what it is we're planning to do and what's coming up. And they are in our programs all the time, seeing the types of things that we're doing. Again, keeping them involved as to what's happening is a true key to making it all successful. And then once they trust that you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to work through them, once you have gained that trust, it's pretty exciting how you're kind of let go and say, okay, go do it. And that's very exciting.
Our administrators, I'm from a very small rural school, so he just comes around and we just talk to him. He asks us questions, we answer the questions. We don't go through any cluster meetings or anything like that. So 600 students in the building, it's real easy.
Just to reiterate those two things, communication and trust, probably two important components.
Becky, you have some more?
This question is from Barbara Nickel in Ohio, and she says, this is to any of you. What performance measures did you use to document the success of your program?
Everybody's looking down at me. Well, we've mentioned some of the things that we've always had. The Ocaps are very important. I think work keys are important. I think another thing, too, is that students are actively engaged. Melissa talked about this. She has 100% retention. Those are indicators that you're doing something right. This year, we have a full program of juniors coming in. I think part of this National Exemplary Award was part of that. But, I think when you look at the totality of everything, those are some of the key elements that you really have to look at. And it's easy data because everybody does it. It's just looking at the data and utilizing it.
And we're hoping to use our Action Research Grant to better document and keep track of where we were and where we're headed. Already, this clustering concept, I believe we're now into year 4, and the scores and that the students are receiving in their Ocaps, their work keys on the national exams, it's incredible watching them grow each year. But we want to do a better job of documenting that.
The job placement is one of our. That's really what we're all about, anyhow. So we look at the opportunities that are open and the students that are being placed, and also the amounts of money. When we talk about jobs right out of high school, we've got a few companies that are recruiting now. Advantage that we're the only school that they're recruiting at in the state of Ohio, and we're talking wages of $25 to $30 an hour right from high school. Now, that's not bad. And we're sort of pleased with that. So when we talk about numbers, all of our tests show it. We had 3 out of the 4 past years that we've been to nationals at Budke competitions. We're very proud of that. The skills of the kids are really increased, and it's because we have a definite goal. We want these kids to get good paying jobs.
And there's the mandated ones, the Ocaps, the work keys, right. But I think the competitions really take it outside of your building, and you can see what you're up against as far as like some of the art competitions. It's comprehensive high schools that we're up against, not only career tech schools, but and then you have the career tech schools competing on the state and regional level with their the FICA Skills USA. So there's a lot of different competitions and exhibitions and things like that. And I think personally our students in the digital design program, the very first year is all graphic design and the second year is multimedia. And every student walks out of there as a completer with an interactive CD that they designed, and it's catered towards their theme to go out and show an employer. So I think each one of us has a different way of twisting it to have our skills and competencies demonstrated.
This question is coming from an administrative point of view, but I think we can turn it around and hopefully you can speak to it from an instructor perspective. The question is in regards to integration. How do you gain support of whole school integration or even a career cluster integration? How do you get teachers to buy in? And maybe you can address that from either how you did it from your perspective or how your school did it to get your teachers to buy in your schools.
I can relate to this being the lead team member of the team. It has to come initially from the career and technical educator. He has to be the member that pulls the academic people together. Once you get people pulled together and working together, then everybody's a part, nobody's a team leader anymore. We all have our individual parts that we do to make sure things work well. But in the initial stages when you set it up, I think it's very important for the career technical teacher to be the one that sets that up and gets the ball rolling to the thing, because you're really going to them and say, I want some of your expertise, because the students need to be well-rounded, not only in technical areas, but in academic areas also.
If I could add to that, because Nick's talked about a very important aspect. You heard the expression, put your money where your mouth is. Let's apply it to integrated academics. At our school, we have a curriculum period. My curriculum period is to go into my career technology programs that I teach and to make that connection. When you support teachers and say, we feel this is important, and we're going to provide you a period of instructional time to make that connection, it's easy, because teachers say, you are speaking and doing what you're saying, and that's very important. Walk the walk. And I think that's really what's been easy for our schools. So we've been doing applied academics integration for about 17 years at Pioneer. And that was one of the big things when I hired in 15 years ago. Oh, that's neat. I can go in the lab and see what these kids are doing. I think it's important.
And the kids love it. The kids love when the academic teachers walk into their labs and put their nose into what they're doing in the lab and ask questions. I am just so fortunate, again, to work with the people that I work with, that it just comes so easy. The work ethic, the whatever it takes attitude, we all seem to have we all kind of were brought up the same way. And we're just going to do whatever it takes. And it came very easy for our group of teachers to buy into this. Because we've seen the success of the students because of it. And now that we've done it, I look back and say, why haven't we always, 17 years, why weren't we doing this 17 years ago? This is the key.
Have you had instances where a teacher has left the group, your current group that has worked with, and a new teacher comes on board, and how do you deal with that?
No, but we already have pacts with each other. Once we tell our spouses that we are leaving, then they have to tell their cluster members we are the next line. It is a slight concern because there are two instructors in our cluster that are close to the retirement, and they will be there at least 2-3 more years, but it's scary because it's working so well. It's like you can't leave. We haven't had that yet. We have not had that yet.
We've had that happen in our program. We had people move because their husbands, we had an English teacher and her husband moved to a different location. I think what's really important, and Nick doesn't often blow his own horn, so to speak, but he really takes an active, engaging process to welcome people on the team. They have to feel that what they're doing is important to the big picture. The big picture is making someone successful. When you do that, and you take that active responsibility of being the captain of the ship. You know, I got a question, I come to the captain and I say, hey, what do we do? And everybody else's team does the same thing. So you got to be welcoming to new people.
We have time for about one more question.
I'm really interested in hearing from the panel how you are using instructional time differently in creating integrated opportunities across your curriculum.
That's a good question. If I understand the question correctly, I know we have changed our instructional program considerably from 23 years ago, and our focus now is more away from projects and more towards developing the skills, the employability skills, so that the student would be able to walk right into employment. But we also I work with my math teacher very closely, and he comes into the shop, and so we have math problems that are part of my program, and things have happened so slowly over the years. I don't know exactly all the changes I've made because we've just made them as we needed, as we in growth. Someone help me out here.
Maybe, I was trying to figure out what your question was, and maybe this is the answer to your question. High schools at work was a natural fit for us because it really addresses integrated curriculum. And, they really have a lot of key indicators that you can look at and key practices that you can do. It really has made it easy for us to say and justify why we're doing what we're doing, providing that common planning time, providing a vehicle so that kids are getting those skills in order to be successful. I don't know if that really addresses your...
I was really interested to see if you all are tearing down 45-minute blocks of time. This is the time I teach math, English, social studies. My first have to go, you're doing that differently. You're not going to go on in there, get there. How I'm going about doing it.
Well, I can speak from the physics perspective because of electronics. Physics is no different than electronics. So if we need to teach in a lab setting, we'll go in and we'll teach in a lab setting. Generally, it is pretty structured in the sense that 41 minutes of instructional time is provided for the student for physics. And for a period, one period. And I guess with our team approach, we try to really, whenever there's a teachable moment, you do it. And that common curriculum period is really the key, I think, to providing that vehicle in order to do that. You can't take the technology out of the science and the science out of the technology.
We have worked some of our students through workshops that the students rotate to the teacher on different workshops, that the teacher teaches the same thing all day long while the students rotate in and out of the different workshops. And if a project is if social studies and science is back to back and it all ties together, those two teachers may team together to teach that day, put all the kids together and teach that day. We do it in a variety of ways. We're not doing it all the time, but if it works, we try to use it to our advantage to not care what the bells are and work with the kids and what do they need to complete this project or finish, or what's best for them or best for us. For me to plan one workshop and the kids rotate to me, 6 teams of kids are coming to me, I've only planned one workshop instead of 3, and that works.
Okay. I want to thank the folks that have sent in those excellent questions. I think they were, very thought-provoking. Our time is gone, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the panel for sharing their program and candidly responding to the questions from the audience in the field. So let's give them a hand. I also want to thank the Great Oaks Institute of Technology for the use of the Instructional Resource Center. It's a marvelous facility, and it makes this much easier. Also, in closing, I want to invite our listeners and viewers to join us for the next Professional Development Speakers Program on September 13th, when the topic will be Exemplary Practice, What Makes a Good Teacher. Thank you, and good afternoon.